Turn on my mic. The hearing board of Thursday, January 9th, 2025 at 4:00 p.m. Will you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
The flag of the United States of America, republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible, justice for all.
Can I get the roll call, please?
Member Bartholomew.
Present.
Member Miller.
Present.
And Member Riles.
Present.
Thank you. Now we need approval of the minutes of the April 27th, 2023 meeting.
I move we approve the minutes as written.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Thank you. All righty, so we'll go on to the next order of business, which is business from the public. Persons wanting to address the hearing board during the business from the public must send their written comments by email to cdaa@albany.oregon.gov. Please limit comments to one page and include your name and address. Emails received before noon on the day of the meeting will be read aloud during the business from the public. Okay, we will now proceed to public hearing CU-01-24, type 3 quasi judicial process. It's a conditional use review for the construction of an 8,000 square foot building containing a fitness facility and warehouse. Also, site plan review for the placement of 15 self-storage containers, 32 RV parking space and an office, an attached dwelling unit, a major variance to allow off-street parking between the building and the front property line, and a replat to combine two lots into one. The subject property is zone light industrial and located at 137 41st Avenue Southeast. So we have one public hearing on our agenda this afternoon. The case files are CU-01-24, SP2324, VR-09-24, and RL-05. These applications are for conditional use to construct a fitness facility and warehouse, as previously stated. Have all board members received a copy of the agenda packet and materials and are familiar with them?
Yes.
Yes.
So I call to order the quasi judicial public hearing at 4:03. Do any members wish to declare a conflict of interest? Do any members wish to report an ex parte contact? Any members wish to report a site visit? Do any members wish to abstain from participating in the proceedings? Does anyone attending today's meeting wish to challenge the hearings board right to determine this matter or the participation of any board member in this hearing and decision? So please turn on your camera and raise your hand to be called upon, or if you are attending by phone, please unmute yourself and state your name so you can be called upon. Okay, at this time, I call for the reading of the meeting procedures.
Good afternoon. For all those wishing to testify, please be aware that you must raise an issue with enough detail to afford the hearings board and parties an opportunity to respond to the issue if you later want to raise that issue on appeal. Testimony and evidence must be directed towards the approval standards staff will describe or other criteria in the comprehensive plan or development code that you believe apply to the decision. If additional documents or evidence are provided by any party, the hearings board may allow a continuance or leave the record open to allow the parties a reasonable opportunity to respond. Failure of the applicant to raise constitutional or other issues relating to proposed conditions of approval with enough detail to allow the local government or its designee to respond to the issue precludes an action for damages in circuit court.
Okay. At This time I call for the staff report.
Good afternoon. My name is Liz Olmsted, project planner. So before you this afternoon, we have CU 0124 and the other associated land use applications. The land use proposals, as Joanne stated before, or the chair stated before, construction of an 8,000 square foot building with fitness facility and warehouse tenant space, 15 self-service storage containers, 32 RV spaces, and an office with an attached dwelling. The applicant's also requesting a variance to place parking between the building and the street and to replat, to consolidate 2 lots into 1 parcel. So the property is located at 137 41st Avenue Southeast, and this is the light industrial zoning district. On the screen here, you'll see the proposed site plan. It's a little fuzzy, I apologize. In the rear of the property is the RV parking spaces. You can see the dashed lines there. The big building in the middle is the fitness facility and warehouse tenant space. And then the self-serve storage containers are placed sort of around the building. And then the on-site dwelling and office is to the right of the fitness facility and warehouse. So this is here before you today because the fitness facility in the light industrial zone requires a conditional use process. And when you have more than 1 application associated with a type 3, then the planning commission reviews all those associated applications, which include the site plan review, the major variance, and the replat. So the decision-making criteria you have up in front of you, the code sections are cited, and it's all in your packet as well. So the decision options you have tonight are approve the request as proposed in condition, approve the request with amendments, or deny the request.
So we will now take testimony from the applicant. Please state your name and your address for the record, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Laura LaRock with Udell Engineering. I am the applicant's representative, and I believe the applicant's architect is also attending online if you have questions. But thank you, Liz, for the overview of the staff report and the proposal itself. So as you can see, the site is pretty constrained by Bonneville Power easements. So they cross the property in 2 different directions, leaving only the center portion that's able to develop vertically. So the purpose and reason that we're before you today is to allow the building to sit further back from the street, which would be normally allowed, so that the parking lot area can be contained fully in that BPA or power easement, and then the open storage in the other easement to the rear of the site. With that, I don't have too much more to add to the proposal. It's pretty straightforward, but I am happy to answer any questions that the commission might have.
I'm curious about the road that goes through.
Mhm.
I noticed that on both sides of the property, it goes right up to the fence line.
Mhm.
And so I know that in most properties, there's supposed to be some sort of barrier. And so you're just using the fence as the barrier. There's no landscaping required in that area.
Yeah, good question. So this one is a little bit different than probably what you see. This is in an industrial zone, so they do not have those setbacks or landscape buffering requirements that
Except in the front.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I think I'm good.
Okay, we will now be taking public testimony.
Thank you.
Thank you. First, from those in favor of the applications, followed by those in oppositions or with concerns, and finally with anyone who is neutral. If anyone wishes to enter an exhibit into the record as part of your testimony, please briefly describe the exhibit and then email it to cdaa@albanyoregon.gov. Written testimony that was submitted by the deadline via email have been uploaded to the city website and is part of the agenda packet. So I think we have one person, and I didn't indicate whether they were in favor or against or opposed. Tammy Cochran? Not, you weren't for this? Okay, you signed up on the wrong one. No worries, no worries. That's okay, no worries. It's our first meeting of the new year. We're all getting back into business, so that's no problem. Okay. We'll take any public testimony for those who did not register to speak. Any of those in opposition? Have no, does the applicant have any additional or rebuttal testimony? Does the staff have any final comments in response to what was presented today?
No, I do not.
Okay, well, I declare this public hearing closed at 4:11 p.m. I'll now call for deliberation. Does the hearing board wish to discuss this case?
Yeah, I'd like to say a couple of things. Um, Yeah, it's in an industrial area, and I know the area fairly well. And this type of development I know pretty well too. And I think this is interesting. It's creative. It's sort of multi-use, creative use of the site. It's a little unusual. But I think in these times when it's difficult to finance things and to develop properties with all the other restrictions on them, it's kind of a creative and useful proposal for this, even though it sort of pushes my buttons in some ways because it's unusual. I think it's probably a good use of the site, and the types of uses it is addressing, while they might seem like sort of a jumble of different things, I don't see why they don't fit in the industrial zone, and they aren't a reasonable use of that site. And a lot of it is sort of temporary on the site, so that if a higher or better use could come along later, it could be easily adapted to that. You know, I kind of scratched my head at it, but I think it's probably a good use of the site.
I had similar thoughts, especially about the fact that it could be changed at some future time, but also the fact that it's not all just storage. We have a lot of those kind of areas, and that they're actually using it for commercial use as well, is encouraging to elevate the use of the property.
Well, do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the proposed conditional use review as conditioned under planning file CU 0124, SP 2324, VR 0924, and RL 0524. This motion is based on the findings and conclusions in the December 31st, 2024 staff report and the findings in support of the application made by the hearings board during deliberations in this matter.
There a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Thank you. So we're now here for public hearing CU-02-24, type 3 quasi judicial process. Goodness. Case filed is CU-02-24, a conditional use application to use the existing structure at 506 Ferry Street Southwest as an outpatient treatment center, which is classified as community service. Have all board members received a copy of the agenda packet and materials, and are you familiar with them?
Yes.
Yes.
I Call to order this quasi-public hearing at 4:15 PM. Do any members wish to declare a conflict of interest?
No.
Any members wish to report any ex parte contact?
No.
No.
Do any members wish to report a site visit?
Yes, I drove past it today on my way here.
Okay, but that was not a site visit, you just
No.
on your way to the, okay. So does
I'm familiar with the property.
Do anyone attending today wish to challenge the hearings board right to determine this matter or the participation of any board member in this hearing and decision? If so, please turn on your camera and raise your hand to be called upon. And if you are attending by phone, please unmute yourself and state your name so that you can be called upon. This time, I call for the reading of the meeting procedures by Dave Martin.
Good afternoon. For all those wishing to testify, please be aware that you must raise an issue with enough detail to afford the hearings board and parties an opportunity to respond to the issue if you later want to raise that issue on appeal. Testimony and evidence must be directed towards the approval standards staff will describe or other criteria in the comprehensive plan or development code that you believe apply to the decision. If additional documents or evidence are provided by any party, the hearings board may allow a continuance or leave the record open to allow the parties a reasonable opportunity to respond. Failure of the applicant to raise constitutional or other issues relating to proposed conditions of approval with enough detail to allow the local government or its designee to respond to the issue precludes an action for damages in circuit court.
At this time, I call for the staff report from Planner Alyssa Schrems.
All right. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Alyssa Schrems, Project Planner for the record. So before you today is CU 0224, which is a conditional use application for a substance abuse treatment center in an existing structure. This is the subject property, which is 506 Ferry Street Southwest. As been noted, you may have driven past it today. It is about a direction by about 1 block. The property is going to be in our Monteith Historic District and is considered historic contributing. However, at this time, the applicant is not proposing any exterior changes to the structure, which is what we would normally review for when we talk about historic structures. So interior work is not subject to historic review by the City of Albany. So the decision criteria you'll be using today is found in Albany Development Code 2.250. And again, just to note, there are no proposed exterior changes. We also do include a proposed condition of approval that is intended to call the applicant's attention to the fact that it is a historic structure and any exterior work may require additional review. So at this time, in the staff report, that condition is included, and we do recommend that you adopt it if you choose to approve the application today. So your decision options are option 1, approve the request as proposed in condition. Option 2, approve the request with amendments. This is what we recommend you do if you feel that there are changes to the proposal that need to be made for it to be consistent with the character of the neighborhood. Or your third option is to deny the request based on testimony you received today. Do note that you will have to propose findings for why it would not meet the criteria. And then does anybody have any questions for us today?
Not yet.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. We will now take testimony from the applicant. Would the applicant please come forward, state your name and address for the record?
My name is Celia Cicada. I'm project manager for Veritone Architecture. We are representing Angela Kelly and Sarah Soick, who are the owners of Recovery First. This is a residential historic contributing structure that is proposed as a substance abuse treatment center. I do believe there might be some misconception amongst the community that this is going to be residential treatment. It is not residential, it is outpatient. We are not proposing any exterior changes or any revision to the historic structure. Do you have any questions for me?
So when you say it's outpatient, Do you have sort of a idea about how many patients, what kind of traffic on a daily basis?
Yeah, so maximum traffic might be for an exceptionally large group meeting, in which case we might anticipate up to 30 people. We think we chose that number because it seemed like an exceptional number that wouldn't occur very often, but there are groups. Within the criteria, we do provide some information about typical hours, if I can pull that up. I believe business hours are like standard 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. And typically we would see, apologies, I need to pull this up. Yeah, so typically a single clinician might see 5 to 6 clients per day throughout the business day. What the plan is to use the existing bedrooms and sunroom and sitting room for offices for one-on-one counseling. So we are looking at about 4 to 5 clinicians that would be in-house on a daily basis. Additionally, there are 2 clinicians that take their appointments out in the community as they partner with various other community services. So there would be more employees just simply not on site.
And so what was the total number of employees, including assistants?
Let's see.
Just in round numbers.
I would say like probably 7, yeah.
Okay. And parking for those people?
There is a single parking spot. We have emphasized to our clients that other employees would need to use the Water Street parking that is accessible for downtown employees. And again, you have 2 to 3 of those employees that are out in their community with their vehicles because their appointments are outside of the clinic.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I've been thinking about this for some time about the parking that would be required. I used to live a couple blocks away and also worked downtown. Parking is limited during those business hours. And so I was wondering how that was going to accommodate the people who would be utilizing this service.
Yeah, so I think one kind of data point that we took into consideration is that one of the owners owns another therapy clinic that's more for generalized mental health a few blocks away. And she finds the vast majority of her patients take the public transportation. She would say she was kind of guesstimating like 15%-ish of her clients actually bring their own cars. It's a similar set of clientele. And beyond that, I think this is about being a good neighbor and making sure that your clients know where they can publicly park, that the on-street parking is not available to them. And I feel like that's just a day-to-day operational management issue.
Will clients always be inside of the facility when they're waiting for their appointment? Like they wouldn't be sitting out on the porch or anything?
No, they would always be inside.
Nothing I can think of right now.
From what I understand about the application, there's no actual structural changes that will take place inside or out.
Correct. There has been some minor finish work and the main primary stair, we did increase the height of the railing because it was quite low and a little dangerous. And we are going to get some structural testing done in the future that might require some interior like structural upgrades, maybe some new beams or something. And that's really about ensuring the longevity of the structure itself. But exterior architecture, there are no planned changes beyond like a ramp for accessibility, which would have to go through historic review and would be designed to be architecturally appropriate to the house. But again, we don't know if that's even going to be publicly visible because we really do need a site survey to understand where we could place it. And that's still a work in progress.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And we will now be taking public testimony. First from those in favor of the application, followed by those in opposition or with concerns, and finally from anyone who is neutral. If anyone wishes to enter an exhibit into the record as part of the testimony, please briefly describe the exhibit and then email it to the cdaa@albanyoregon.gov. Written testimony that was submitted by the deadline via email have been uploaded to the city's website and is part of the agenda packet. So we will start with those who are in favor. And John Phelps, I'm not sure you didn't indicate whether you were for or against or neutral. Okay, well, we will start with you, John. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record. Please keep your testimony to 2 minutes, please, as
I'll
possible.
be short.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is John Phelps. I live at 110 Cleveland Street. I am currently the director of Second Chance Shelter. I've worked for Chance like 17 years. I'm just here today to say that these guys are one of the most amazing treatment centers I have ever met. And I've met a lot. My wife is a drug and alcohol counselor for Lane County. And these guys go way beyond the call of duty to help people. They are pretty much the only treatment center we can get to come to the shelter and help our mental health clients. And they meet with them one-on-one until they're group appropriate. I mean, I'm talking some pretty severe cases. And they just go way beyond the call of duty. They are amazing people. They care about our community. There's tons of people in this audience that we didn't ever think would be sitting here, and they're here because of them. And so I can't say enough good stuff about them. I drop people off at their treatment center every week. I never see a bunch of people out front misbehaving or doing anything like that. I don't think that'll be a problem. But I think we are missing out on a huge opportunity for this community if we do not allow them to do what they do. That's all I got.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Next, we have Tricia Cunningham. Tricia, please state your name and address for the record, please, and please limit your testimony to 2 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tricia Cunningham. I live at 2568 Westwood Place Southeast. That's in Albany, Oregon, 97322. So I work for Dynamic Self-Recovery, which is the current people, the applicants. One of them owns Dynamic Self-Recovery. And one of the things that we have really noticed is that there's such a need in the community for recovery, whether that is mental health services or drug and alcohol. And so we have noticed that we are needing more of that in the community. We at our agency we serve a certain amount of population or a certain amount of people. And so expanding that is really what the goal is here. And, I just want to, kind of go off what John said, and that is that we are really mindful of how we present ourselves in the neighborhood. We are in a residential neighborhood right now in our commercial building. And I can honestly say that some of the people that are around there one lady is a realtor and she's trying to sell the house across the street, and she has never had any complaints. She looked on the website, wherever that is, and there's been no complaints on our agency in that area. And so I guess the reason why I'm sitting here today is to just reaffirm that for you guys, that, if there were going to be complaints, I would have thought that based off the agency that we run, that would have been done by now. We have been there over a year. And so, yeah. So again, it's just something that's going to be an asset to the community, more of a burden. So I appreciate your guys' time.
Next, we have, oh, I'm sorry if I cannot read this name. Edward Deaton? That's okay, Edward. Please state your name and address for the record.
I understand. I'll just, my name is Edward Dearden. I live at 900 Peacock Lane, Northwest, 97321. And this, with them, I was a patient of theirs. I still am. I'm for mental health, but I was there for my drug addiction. I've been an addict for 35 years, and I've been through every treatment program that this county probably has, and I've never been successful or even close. And I've spent the last year of my life with these people, and it changed my life. Today, I'm an active, productive member of society, and I'm just beginning, and I owe it all to them. And I've never seen anything but good come out of the place. I think that the success rate is extremely high. I don't know the numbers, but I know it's very high. And I just can't say enough good things about it and how important it is to our community, especially at this point in time with the problems that we're facing. And if it can change me, it can change anybody. Sorry, it just feels good to be here. I think I'll end on that.
Thank you, Mr. Dearden. Righty. I have Jim and Michelle Egan. It doesn't say whether you're for or against. Are you for or against?
We're in favor.
Okay, well, come forward. State your name and address for the
Thank you.
record, please. Thank you.
I'm Jim Egan, EGAN. We're at 422 Southwest 5th. We're 2 doors down. So, what you guys see a lot is what we call NIMBY. Have you heard of NIMBY?
Not
in my backyard. So we're PIMBY, that is please in my backyard. Sarah Sorick and her services are absolutely necessary for our community. They provide wonderful supplements to the Department of Health and Human Services and folks that rely on them for services throughout the community. With regard to my neighborhood, which I have been in for over 30 years, either as a business person on the corner or as a resident right next door, this neighborhood provides a unique opportunity, I think. It provides proximity to Lynn County Mental Health. It provides proximity to the courts. It provides proximity to WIC. I mean, everything is right down here, including medical services within walking distance. It's a transportation hub just a block or two away, and that means people without transportation or without personal transportation have public transportation to get here. We have concerns because if this happens and you hear swearing from my house, it's going to be because somebody took my wife's parking place, okay? And she is very intolerant of that, I got to tell you right now. But that's not really a problem that this particular business is going to aggravate. That's just a problem that is general in this neighborhood. And we'd just like to have the owner kind of address that as best as they possibly can, knowing full well that there's no really good answer to that question. If you have been in our neighborhood, either at the Armory or at our neighbor First Christian Church's Thursday night dinners, or frankly anywhere in the neighborhood for any services, there's always going to be a problem of a little bit of loitering, smoking and the like. The good news is there's not going to be a lot of weed smoking out in front of this place. That's pretty cool, like that. But those are issues that we've heard about here, and we'd like to hear some more if we could. Okay, but nevertheless, we have wonderful neighbors, and I think that Ms. Sorik's services would be welcomed in a neighborhood that includes the First Christian Church, where they feed folks. That includes the Presbyterian Church right next door, where kids play and where children are provided care, and where parents, frankly, are provided respite. And we'd just like to welcome to our community. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Egan. And Tammy Cochran, you were 4. You don't want to speak now? You're good? Okay. All righty. Hey, well now who,
Hey, Joanne, we do have one person online who has their hand raised to testify.
yes, that's 4?
I believe so.
Oh, okay, let's have that person.
Hi, my name is Jessica Wilcox.
Jessica, we lost you. Your book. Okay.
236 Southeast Derby Street. And I am in support of Dynamic Self-Recovery Just Care being in the area of Lake County Courthouse because of the service that it provides to my clients. I am an independent contractor for Oregon Public Defense Commission. I get clients to treatment services here in our community, as well as getting them to court and to DHS visitations, things like that. And Dynamic Self-Recovery and Just Care have provided an exceptional service to clients here in our community. And we've seen sobriety and success rates increase as we add to the services that we provide for our clients. And they will meet clients where they're at, meaning people that are passively still maybe smoking marijuana or drinking alcohol, but want to get off a drug that's harsher. They are able to safely do that in these 2 programs. And there's not other programs that provide that level of meeting people where they're at. And so I'm in support of them being in our community and local to our services and our clients. And the parking, I don't see it as a huge issue. I transport clients, medical transport transports clients to these programs every day, and I don't see the cars being an issue.
Well, thank you for your testimony. And now we will take testimony. If there's no other person, where did you sign up to register?
My name is Grace Robbins.
Oh, Grace, I'm sorry, I missed you. Come forward.
You're amazing. Thank you.
Come forward and state your name and address. I'm sorry.
My name is Grace Robinson, and my address is 525 Northwest Monroe in Corvallis, Oregon, 97330. Thank you for your time. I want to say that there are many individuals suffering due to drug and alcohol addiction, not just those who are using, but their families, neighbors, and the entire community feel the ripple effects. By allowing Recovery First to open their treatment center, you will take a significant step toward alleviating this suffering. Alcohol and drug addiction are the leading factors contributing to homelessness, and there is a substantial number of people experiencing homelessness on Albany streets. Allowing Sarah and Angie to open Recovery First would be an enormous step in the battle to end homelessness and helping people to heal and get clean before they lose their housing. Sarah and Angie are phenomenal women who know how to run an effective treatment center, and their work with Dynamic Self-Recovery has already transformed countless lives, including mine. Before I entered their intensive outpatient program almost 2 years ago, I was in complete disarray. After living homeless for 23 years, my life was one of survival and chaos, a reality most would find horrifying. Through Dynamic Self-Recovery, I received the tools, support, and therapy I desperately needed. I graduated from their program a year ago, and I am proud to say I've been clean for almost 2 years In that time, I've gone to truck driving school, earned my CDL, become MACBO certified as a peer support specialist, and enrolled at Lynn Benton Community College, where I am a full-time student pursuing a degree in policymaking with a 4.0 GPA. For the first time in my adult life, I feel like I can be an asset to my community. And none of this would have been possible without the outpatient treatment and therapy I received. Recovery works. And this treatment center has the potential to save lives and strengthen our community. And if it were your child or family member suffering due to drug and alcohol abuse, wouldn't you want them to have the best care possible to get clean and gain the skills they would need to live a healthy, productive life? And I encourage you to make the right choice and allow Recovery First to open its doors, start helping people change their lives, and strengthen this community. And again, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Grace. Sorry I missed your name. All righty. Did I miss anyone else that signed up? I want to make sure. All righty. For those who are against, right now I have Sharon Canopa.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Hello, folks. So I just want to, my name's Sharon Canopa, and I don't live in the downtown area. I live in the South Albany area. But I am, I think you received a letter from Friends of Historic Albany, and I concur with all the statements in that letter, but I'm here speaking on my behalf and my thoughts on this. So I am in full support of treatment programs. I have advocated strongly for them for many years, but also it needs to be in the proper zoning. Is for a treatment center or anything that is going to be non-residential needs to be in the proper zone. So my concern is we have invested a lot in, the city has invested a lot in our urban renewal district in this area of town. The historic homes in the Monteith district are our most highest valued historic homes in the city. Once you start losing its residential use, then it's the ripple effect on the rest of the district. And I don't think anybody wants to see that happen for Albany. We need to do what we can to protect the integrity of our historic district. So kind of, I'll give you sort of a history, and which an example in the staff report refers to the Oxford House. That's on the Pfeiffer House. That's on the corner of 6th and Ferry. And the house that's in between this proposed use, the 506, the house in the middle. So in 2007 or it was 2008, when the Oxford House went into the Pfeiffer House, there was a huge uproar in all of the historic district over it. And they claimed that they were going to be great stewards. And Oxford House is a wonderful program. It's a lot of people through recovery, but they haven't invested in that house. I remember working with the owner back then to paint it. And that was probably 15 years ago, and it hasn't had any investment since. What happened then, when it came in, there was wonderful neighbors north and on the west side, and those neighbors left. So it drove them away. Because when you start taking properties out of single residential use and putting into more, when you have 16 people in a house, is not your normal residential use. Shared housing is great. I support shared housing, but not that intense of a use. The other, it's referred to, the other house was an adult foster home, which is fine. That's shared housing for there, and it's still residential. The Oxford House and that other house is still residential. This is being proposed to be more of a commercial business office professional type use, which is attractive for people to buy because it's cheaper to buy a residential home, and most of the historic homes are larger in size than most homes are building throughout the community, and it's a lot cheaper than buying a commercial building, which isn't fair to somebody wanting to sell their commercial building. So, so why should a neighborhood be impacted because somebody wants to get a building cheaper to do their use. But it's going to have that ripple effect on all of our district. So also, I guess when it came to all the changes, and I know the three of you had been around to see all the changes from House Bill 2001, and we've had all the density code changes, that has taken place for quite a few years now. But there was pushback, a lot of pushback over having the changes that are and what it's going to affect the historic district. So House Bill 2001 was only over housing. It's to stay housing. And that's a major goal of the state, is to get more housing. This would be taking housing out of an inventory. But when there was that pushback, staff said at that time that, they'll still have to go through the conditional use permit process, and they'll have to meet that. That's what sort of pacified then the code changes to be changed. So this is where we're at today, is we are here. They need to meet that criteria. I also am kind of dismayed to read the reason for approval totally kind of downplayed the daycare and playground that's facing the property. It isn't just a daycare. It's for infants, toddlers, pre-K. They're children that are playing next to a sidewalk and behind a chain link fence. So, and then also in the report, it's kind of justifying saying that comparing the area to similar composition clientele. So across the street's a daycare, so that's similar composition clientele. Children, I don't think so. So a recovery center to me should not be located this close to a place for children. Also, the criterion 5.7 in the staff report that I mentioned about similar composition, it says employees and clients of the treatment center of our similar composition to those already served by businesses and services in the immediate area. So is our Monteith district now supposed to be the only place for people with similar composition? How will this benefit our historic district? And I've said it over the years, the more social services we have downtown, the more social services agencies is not going to have our downtown thrive. Because a lot of them just come during the day, leave. You need to have also a neighborhood that's thriving. So then so the neighbors can be able to work, shop, dine in the area. So I feel it would not be a benefit to this surrounding area.
Okay.
And also it was brought up about parking.
Sharon, your time is up. We really let you go over. 2 minutes was the time for testimony. So
okay, I'm sorry. I didn't know that it was the 2 minutes. And but I guess all I have to say last is if you truly want to preserve our historic district, then please preserve it. You have the right for a motion for denial. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now take public testimony from those who did not register to speak beforehand. Is any member in the public interested in speaking on this topic today that did not register? Please come forward and state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Rachel Lambright. I live at 826 Southwest 9th Avenue, Northeast. Wait, South. I'm making nervous. Sorry about that. 97321. I am actually in the program right now. I've been in the program for almost a year. I think it would be a disservice not to have this. I believe that this is one of the best, and I mean one of the best programs I've ever been in. They helped me with my addiction to my recovery for my mental stability from a lot of trauma in my past. It has helped me to figure out why I am the way that I am a lot more, but has also helped me to become a CRM recovery mentor with MacBo. I have learned so many different things. And as you heard earlier, I am one of those people that they thought I would never make it this far. So if it wasn't for them also being in a recovery community, I don't know where I'd be right now. And this is one of the greatest programs because they take both the alcohol or drug addiction and they help you with your mental part. And that's a program that nobody I've ever seen really does. It encompasses a whole. And it's helped me tremendously. And it's helped a lot of people in this program tremendously. I think it would be the beneficial thing. And I love the fact that they're still going to keep it historic. I love the historic homes, so it's a great thing. And I really do hope that you pass it, that they will be able to do this.
Thank you. And I want to thank all those who testified and are in recovery. I appreciate and really praise you for your continued support and staying clean and sober. Thank you. Yes, come forward, please. State your name and address, please, for the record.
Hello, I'm Emma Dean. I live here in Albany, Oregon, in the New Henshaw development area. I work for Chance, and I just want to share one of the biggest issues within our community right now is nobody can access mental health, and people are staying stuck in crisis, in their addiction, and out on the streets, and everybody's mad about it. And what they're asking to do is come in and be a solution and help people, and they've shown that they can do it. There are multiple individuals sitting in this room that I've watched battle to stay alive, and we're wandering around our streets in crisis and now are clean and sober and stabilized and productive citizens within our community. The concern of children, I have children, I care about children. There are people actively struggling with addiction and mental health and being unhoused throughout our entire community. You can go to a restaurant, you can go to the grocery store, it can be in your neighborhood. There are kids living in homes with that. And this agency is coming in and saying, we want to help people get out of that to better themselves, their family, and their community. So thank you.
Thank you, and I appreciate your speaking. Is there anyone else online that's against or would like to speak? Oh, one more person in the room. State your name and address for the record,
Alexis Dearden, 900 Peacock Lane, 97321. I am very with this. I think that it should go into place. As a child, I have grown up with my family with mental health and addiction, and I've seen my dad change and grow into a person that I can live with and be stable with, knowing that when I was with someone else, I couldn't because of mental health issues that they had. And knowing now that they're also getting help from this treatment center, I think that it's really going to benefit kids in our community, not just the adults and everyone else. It will benefit the kids that are going to be a part of this community in the future. It's going to just, I don't know how to, hold, give me a second.
You're okay, take your time.
After my dad got into the program and he's taken me in and I live with him now, I've succeeded in school. I've went from absolutely failing to straight A's. I've proven myself, I've volunteered, and I put myself out there more. And I think that it's really helped me also to know the people that have been in this treatment, so I can realize that people can change and grow. And I honestly think this is going to be a really big benefit for everyone else in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming forward and testifying. Again, is there anyone else online who wishes to speak either for or against? There's a hand online. Okay.
If you're online and want to testify, please raise your hand. All right, I'm not seeing anybody.
Great. Okay. Does the applicant have any rebuttal testimony?
Just to close us out, I do want to make a couple of points. One, our neighbor here did come and share with me that the Oxford House is in fact a lovely neighbor to have. I would also say, to just volunteer the information, that one of the owner's husbands is a licensed general contractor, is skilled, and all evidence has been that they are actively working to restore the house, do necessary maintenance. So this is not an issue, like they are capable, they are willing, they are invested in the actual architecture of the building. All that said, you know, a lot of times when we're in these hearings, the arguments against a project are based on essentially what people wish the development code would be. People wish the development code would keep the Monteith District residential, solely residential with no conditional use options. And if that's what that person wants, then they should work in their community to change the development code. But today, as we're standing here, this project very, very cleanly meets all the criteria in the development code, and that's the sole basis of the decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Does staff have any final comments in response to the testimony presented?
No further testimony. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, I do, I think.
Well, let me
Go
declare,
ahead.
let me close the public hearing and we can have the
Okay,
deliberation.
close it first.
Okay, can we do that? All right.
Yeah. If that's the right order, let's do it.
I'm trying to follow the rules.
Yeah.
I declare this public hearing closed at 4:56 p.m. Now, I will move for deliberations. So
You can go ahead,
that's here.
Stacy.
Gonna go first? Go. Okay, so we'll start with Stacy, then we'll let Bill go.
So there was part of the packet where it mentioned that there was a change going to be made to our code. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes. So the purpose statement for the Hackelman Monteith is kind of out of alignment with kind of the state regulations, kind of in regards to certain things, but also I don't think you can have something be a conditional use and then completely ban it in a purpose statement. That is also something that is slightly problematic. If we were intending to fully ban all of those uses, it should just be a no on our table instead of a conditional use. We don't have caveats that it's only for new construction versus existing construction, things like that. So we have currently before the City Council, I believe it's at second reading, a code packet. I did reference the file number. I think it's CP 0124 perhaps. The correct citation is in there and I defer to whatever that one is. And that is proposing to change our purpose statement for the historic or the Hackelman Monteith District to kind of address this issue.
So that means our current statement is out of alignment with the state
Portions of it,
regulations?
yes, portions of it are outside of regulations with the state, specifically the House Bill 2001. But as part of that, when we were going through and coming into alignment, we also noted that there was a discrepancy between our purpose table, which allows a use, versus our purpose statement, which actively bans a use. And so purpose statements are not meant to be used that way. And so we are not certain that we could actually enforce that. The permitted uses table should be the one that is controlling what we can and can't do in a zone. And the purpose statement is meant to guide. But if you completely ban something using a purpose statement, then you're out of alignment with your table. So we are in the process of fixing it.
Great. I wanted to make sure there wasn't something that could derail a decision that was made. Thank you.
Nope.
Well, I'm not sure whether it's a question to the staff or just sort of a question to the board. It seems like there's two issues that have come up. One is security of the neighborhood, issues that were brought up in terms of concern of having daycare nearby. The other is parking and whether this is an appropriate use within a residential district. And I don't know if there's perfect answers for that. It just occurs to me as I'm sitting here that within, we have what can you really do within zoning? I mean, people can buy a house, and I have experience with this. It can turn into a drug house, a crack house. And there's no ordinances. I mean, there's legal ordinances to stop that, and it's a very difficult process. They don't come through planning. They just move in and start doing whatever they do. It seems to me that, I maybe started out this hearing with a little different point of view, but after listening to everyone, these people are part of our community. They are residents of the community. This is a residential community. And if we don't provide this, then the problems will grow. And I feel very strongly sitting here right now that this is a proper use of that residential area, and that if people are on the road to recovery, it's not bad to have a daycare center nearby and kids, as long as the people running this are aware of security issues and have protocols in place, as long as they take very seriously that they are a member of this community, which, crack houses don't do that. And I think it's actually, I'm not really a NIMBY. I think that taking people in recovery and people with mental health issues and separating them from society and putting them in commercial areas or putting them off where we don't have to see them is not how we solve this problem.
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you. So our decisions are based upon zoning and code. And that's why I asked the question of the staff, because otherwise we don't have really, we can make a personal judgment regarding the application, or we can go along with the code. And the code does not have anything that restricts this because it's a conditional use, and we just get to approve it if it's within all of those boundaries. I personally am looking forward to this kind of use where it doesn't, change the actual building, and actually probably having an owner would enhance the longevity of this structure, because if it's empty, it will deteriorate. And this business seems to be providing a very needed service. So I look forward to this.
So as I read the staff report and went through this with a fine-tooth comb, I probably read this report in more detail than I have any other, mainly because of the issue of bringing in outpatient treatment into the community is something that resonates with me. And I'm sure many of us in this room have had someone or in our family, friends, or know someone who's been touched by substances in such a way that we're all saying we need treatment in our community. So I really wanted to make certain that we were following the criteria that staff had outlined. And so I read this at least 3 times, and I wanted to make sure that I was reading it with an objective lens, and wanted to ensure that we were following the codes and the guidelines and utilizing that information to make decisions. I also read the emails that came through today and the information that we received from the public, and had some questions that I met with staff prior to the meeting to make certain that we were still in alignment with our Albany Developmental Code, as well as the state regulations and guidelines, as well as House Bill 2001 that Sharon Canopa referred to. I think this is, as staff recommendations, I support them. I think basically this is really an intense topic to address, but making certain, and I was really pleased to see that each point in this report addressed the code, and that's what we need to follow. And we can't bring our personal biases to the table as planning commissioners to make those decisions. And that's what I always look to. And that's where my decision goes, because I feel like I was sworn in to follow the laws that Oregon has set down and the guidelines that the city and you as residents and citizens of this community voted to approve. So I appreciate the staff and the time that you spent with me to make certain that I was really taking the time to look at the codes, the guidelines, what you put together. I appreciate that. It's very thorough, very informative. I'm sure all of you had an opportunity to look at the packet, so I appreciate that opportunity. So I don't think any more conversation around this for deliberations that we need.
Thank you, Joanne. I think that was really well put. I'm glad that you put it that way. I'm very impressed. Are we ready for a motion?
We are ready for a motion.
I would like to move to approve the proposed conditional use review as conditioned under planning file CU-02-24. This motion is based on the findings and conclusions in the December 31st, 2024 staff report and the findings in support of the application made by the hearings board during deliberations on this matter.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any further discussion? For the vote, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. All righty. We are down to business from the board. Any business? Do you have any business? No business? No more business for staff? Okay, well, the next meeting will be determined, correct? Probably 2026. Thank you, thank you, thank you I really appreciate all your time. Thank you so much. The meeting is adjourned, 5:06 p.m.